Hi and welcome, namaste, to November 2025. This is an amazing month for a lot of reasons. One of them is that we're dealing with 3 number vibrations. So we're still dealing with the 9, and we are starting to come into the final lapse of this 9-year cycle, which we're going to talk about how to utilize that this month of November. And we're also going to be dealing with 11, which is a master number 11 vibration, as well as 2. So we have 3 number vibrations we'll be dealing with, and Mercury will be going retrograde for most of this month from November 9th to the 29th. So this is a really great month in respect to the 9 energy vibrations, because 9 represents completion, letting go, surrender, but completion. So we're in this opportunity to come into these final, really just final understandings, final releasing, bringing into final completion or letting go. So it's a great month to actually review the whole year. So what have your themes been, patterns been? What have you learned? How have you grown? What have you healed? You know, that's the kind of opportunity for us just to really go into some self-inquiry and self-discovery, and just taking some time to slow down, which both the 2 and the Mercury retrograde are going to support. Slowing down so that we can start to see details. 2 is asking us to slow down so we can see details that we previously wouldn't have seen. And I love actually that Mercury is retrograde with these number vibrations, because we get to dive down into our unconscious, which is, you know, Mercury, when it goes into retrograde, it's diving into our unconscious. It's diving into the bottom of the ocean, and it gets to extract and uncover and unearth some things that we previously wouldn't have been able to see. And then it brings it back up to our conscious awareness. So we have an ability and understanding to have new insight, new understandings, new solutions can come forth. So it's a really beautiful month to really review, what have I been working on? What have I learned? How have I grown? We want to invite ourselves to be able to come into a new way of being, especially as we start to prepare for 2026. So coming into a new way of being, this is a month to really ask and reflect. You know, how have I grown? Where have I transformed? Where am I still transforming? And that's the 11. 11 represents transformation, the shifting of consciousness. So the 2 is asking, inviting us to say, where do I need to still alchemize fear to love, or chaos to harmony, or to peace? How can I come into more, trust and faith, releasing, transmuting, or alchemizing any residual doubt that we might have? What is our relationships? What are the qualities of our relationships? What do we want in our relationships? And that includes, with the 9 being on the collective stage and all the things that are unfolding on the world stage. It's asking us, 9 is saying, what is or 2 is saying, 9 and 2 actually is saying, what is my relationship with the world? And what are my beliefs around the world? Do I want to see more kindness? Do I want to see more care? Do I want to see more compassion? More and more people are awakening. And yes, we're still in the deconstruction phase, and it is intense, and it is emotional, and it is confusing, and sometimes very scary. That's our invitation, though. Our invitation is to say, I can choose how I'm going to relate to this. I can choose how I'm going to perceive this. And then that puts us into the timeline that we want to be in and on. So I have a choice to say whether I'm going to give energy to the fear, to the chaos, to the conflict, to the injustice, or am I going to give energy to cultivating and embodying peace, harmony, loving kindness? So what is my relationship to the world, and what are my beliefs around it? Because what we believe, we create. So looking at my outer reality helps me to recognize, where do I need to maybe course correct, or where do I want to shift my alignment or work on alchemizing? And that's the gift of this month. We get to really shift consciousness. We get to alchemize. The 11 and 2 are really supporting that, really supporting us to say, I can shift this, and I may have some emotional processing to do. I may have a little bit of deeper inner work to do, but that's where Mercury retrograde comes in and says, whatever we need, we're going to be able to access and excavate from the deeper unconscious within us, so that we can heal, we can transcend, we can rise and start to really come into our heart and shine our light. The 2 is asking us to come out of judgment. Where are we perceiving things that is right or wrong or good or bad? And that is so that we can rise and transcend into more unconditional love. Unconditional love operates out of that polarity, out of that sense of how we relate in the sense of separation. So if I'm perceiving something and I'm judging something, and that includes my own self, that includes myself, separation consciousness is in alignment with fear. So if I want to come into more love consciousness, unconditional love, then I'm being invited to start to look at where am I judging? Where am I judging the world? Where am I judging things that are unfolding? Where am I judging myself? So that I can then start to transcend that, and I'm out of that polarity, which means if I'm not giving energy to that, I'm not giving energy to the separation consciousness, I'm removing blocks to self-love. I'm removing the blocks that are keeping me disconnected from my heart space. So that's, again, this gift where we've got these beautiful vibrations synergizing together, coming together just to create this really beautiful month of support and awareness to really see what we couldn't necessarily see before. It gives us the support to alchemize and transform what we need to so that we can then choose to come into the alignment we want. So we'll have a little bit of work still to do with it, but we're going to be supported, and we're going to most importantly have the awareness that we need. It's very difficult to change something if we don't have the awareness of what needs to be changed. So that's the gift of this month, so that we can really, again, the 11 is illuminating things that we haven't been able to see before. We're going to start to see that even more still on the world stage, more disclosure, more things being revealed. So again, if that creates chaos within us or creates chaos in the thought forms in the collective, what do I want to do to alchemize that chaos so that I can come into, with that awareness, with that illumination, with that new knowledge or understanding, what do I want to do with that? I can come into more peace, more harmony. Again, what do I need to do to alchemize that? So this is a good month to really kind of, again, slow down. 2 is asking us, right, to see the details, but not get lost in the details. So that's the 9. The 9 saying, come back, see the bigger picture. There's something bigger that's playing out. And in this review month, and slowing down month, if it resonates, you can even go back in the past 9 years, because that's what the 9 is also bringing us into completion. We've got a lot of outer planets in astrology too that are bringing us into massive changes and completion. We've got a lot of dips back into, with the retrogrades final, kind of like revisiting, previous cycles that we're in, but then we're actually completing really large cycles as well within this. So I'm not going to get into that part of it, but just know that numerologically, this is an amazing month to really just take it slow, take some exhales, take some time to just really ask, what is important to me? What are my values? And, what is the relationship that I have with absolutely everything, and how do I want to relate to it? How can I relate to it, especially coming out of that duality? If this month, if you find that you're trying to push or force, the 2 will give us opportunity to slow down. Again, with that Mercury Retrograde, it will as well. But it's going to be really supporting us to be able to just calm and slow. And I love that the 9, remember the 9 is so sacred. It really asks us both. We've got the 9 and the 2, both we're dealing with yin numbers. So we're really being asked to, focus on what we do have conscious control over, and I don't mean control as in we're consciously creating, we're not consciously controlling, but we have some things that we do have access to. So that means I have the ability and I have the power to choose how I want to respond. I have the power to choose and work on changing my beliefs if they no longer fit or they're not serving me or the collective. That's an example. And then the surrender, the 9 and the 2 is asking us to let go what we don't have control over. And we're not just blindly letting go, we're releasing surrender to something higher, it's, the spirit, quantum field, the universe, that bigger picture that's playing out. There's such a beautiful synergistic choreography that's playing out on the larger scale. So there's a divine plan that's playing out, and there are many moving pieces and variables playing out. We are one piece of that. and we matter in that. And we also, we're not responsible for everything either. We're only responsible in a sense for ourselves. And can we trust that there's still something bigger playing out that is loving, that is compassionate, that is caring, and that is bringing us forward really into a new birthing of a new world? And what is our role in that? And that's what we want to ask ourselves, and then going from there. So it's just an interesting month. So the invitation would be really just set your intention for the month. What is it that you want to kind of really experience, release and let go of, bring more in? And where can we get into some stillness? Where can we get into that sacred silence? That's that beautiful 9. Where can we cultivate just more rest, more slowing down, more pauses, being more? So coming into, who am I being? And the 9, remember, if we want to really work with this energy and we're feeling just a lot of turbulence with it, especially as we start to get still and quiet with that, Mercury dive into the unconscious, sometimes that can bring up some emotions that are not necessarily comfortable. So feel it to heal it if possible, dance it out, dance, rhythm, movement, both 9 and 2, rhythm, movement, dance, clean, purge, organize, and donate, help. Where can we communicate? Where can we offer? Where can we serve the collective offering in our community? So that's a great way too. 9 represents seva, which is, volunteering our time or donating. So that's a beautiful way also just to kind of move energy, come back into our heart. So just kind of slowing down. And I love this because we're coming up to, we're right in the Samhain energies at the beginning of November, and then we're coming into winter solstice. So remember, the days are getting shorter. We're really in this yin energy, so sacred, so beautiful. And that's the invitation. Like, we really get to go within and really get calm. That's that beautiful yin womb energy, and really get to go within and really ask, what is birthing within me, and allowing. Don't feel like we have to figure it out. It's more about just kind of allowing. We just need to move out our stuff. We can be very intentional. We want to be very intentional. And then the rest is just allow whatever wants to come forth. What wants to birth next in me? What wants to rise? And then what do I need to do just to get out of the way? So wishing you a really peaceful, beautiful, and sacred month. Namaste.